Well, it's good to see you.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming and doing it.
Good to be in London.
Man, I saw Ben at NAB.
Right.
And then we were talking about the localization stuff because, Michelle and Olivia and all that stuff. And Ben came to dinner with us.
Right.
And we were talking about localization. And one thing that he was mentioning was the Japanese commentary, to where there's like the kind of this disconnect to where they get English graphics and Japanese commentary. And
Right.
so you guys are seeing that across the live? Is that kind of a demand?
Yeah, I would say it's probably more the other way around, where you end up with, well, actually it's both. So you either have a domestically produced league that doesn't have English, and we're helping to bring English over top, but no one can understand what's going on in the lower third if you're talking about team names, or thankfully numbers translate pretty well.
Right.
Or you get the reverse, where you're taking an English dominated sport and you're trying to take it to a new market, and they don't read English, and so you need to have that full package localization. You need to think hard about what are your sponsor activations, what are you communicating, what stories are you telling, and what commentary are you bringing alongside that.
So when you guys, when you guys first started, like we met during Stadia days,
right?
Back in the old school.
We won't talk about how long ago that was.
Right, and so you guys were just doing commentary, but you just mentioned doing sponsor activations. So you guys have kind of evolved the Spalk product line. You talk about
that? The sponsor activations are really, like I said, kind of a little bit of window dressing around that commentary. So commentary is still our bread and butter, but what we found was that there's graphics needs. You need to be able to overlay different graphics. Sometimes it's a different set of sponsors. So you want to be able to insert live mid-rolls. You want to add a lower third or a different bug or something like that. And all of that is to help dress up the feed so that it's not, say, for example, the Fox NFL feed. It's now your NFL Game Pass.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think we're seeing a lot of, like, most of the leagues now are global, right? Anybody that has a property in sports, like they're global, and they need to start telling these stories globally.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things, like with Optikka, that we love is we wanted to be able to empower creators to tell stories locally. Right. And that's the thing that I love about Spalk, is that you guys haven't pivoted to like, let's go full AI and let's just tell these stories, some programmatic or even taking a translation of the original, commentators and saying, let's turn it to a language. Like, these are real professional voice talent.
Yes.
That can tell a story in that native tongue.
Yeah, you're right. And that was super important to us with our deep history of, I guess, human commentary as opposed to AI commentary. We care really deeply about both the commentators and the product that ends up on screen and how that connects with viewers. And both of those things really begot this different approach where it's, as you say, it's not just a generic model where it's kind of a bland, no one doing the commentary. It's actually focused specifically about replicating the specific style, intonation, and vocabulary of actual commentators. And that really connects with fans.
Yeah, it's really important. And I think, like we hear these questions all the time, like when we go in, and because we're in creative supply chain, right? So creators are instantly, like, oh, is my job right? And everybody's like, there's nervous. And then when you have a conversation with them, like we had one today, to where one of the creators like got in there and was like, if I had thought about this as tooling the way you guys are approaching this, like now I see what I'm missing.
Right.
And so they start to see it. But it's important for people to understand that, like, all of these are tools, just like what you're doing as a tool. And if you brought AI to the commentary, like, it's going to lose its human touch, and humans will still notice that, right?
Yeah.
So it's super important.
It's super important when you're in creative. It's about connecting with a fan.
Right.
So if the human element is lost, then the whole thing is
that's completely
ruined.
And humans have picked up really quickly on when something is not right?
Yeah.
So when we do workflows, like, again, we're doing the same thing, to where it's taking away the mundane things and tasks that take up a bunch of creative energy and time,
right,
but are not creative at all. It's like, okay, I've got a design that's 16 by 9. Now I need to do thumbnails that are for each of these different OTT platforms. it's not creative. It's like cutting things, shifting things around a little bit, opening pixels, right?
Right.
And so when creators start to see that, they start to get, excited about the fact that now I can do more stories. Like now I can tell more local stories. Or what we see a lot is that, like especially with like the ESPNs of the world and these big broadcasters of the world, like they have a finite number of creatives, so they can't give good treatment to the lower value sports. It's always the, the men's basketball in college, and it's always, these kind of things. So they start to be able to elevate some of the other brands. And I think with your language, right, and being able to do commentary, do you see that they can treat more and have more language tracks?
Absolutely. I think like it was already the case when you're talking about remote contribution, because it's so much lower in terms of cost, that they could do an experiment with different languages, and you're only seeing that accelerate with AI. And yeah, I think as a sports fan first and a programmer second, I think that like the personal leverage and the amplification of what any one person or one team can do with AI is super powerful, obvious, and really exciting.
And when we were talking earlier, you had mentioned that some of the reason that you can start to do more is because you figured out some of the logistics of getting keys to your player. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yes, it's something slightly less sexy than the commentary or live generated commentary, but we work with the biggest sports leagues in the world. We do hundreds of broadcasts every week, and one of the really big challenges is managing a lot of disparate and messy information that's coming on lots of different channels, and everybody's super urgent because their broadcast is about to go on air, and managing that takes a lot of effort from a really dedicated production team, where we can use advances in AI to actually streamline a lot of that and really amplify or focus their energy on where they need to be. And so, yeah, you can do more with less, I guess, is that.
And I think that's what we see, right? It's always about, like, how do we amplify the talent? Like, how do we extend your ability to serve more use cases, right? And it's great to hear, like, I was waiting for you to say, we're training voices and we're going to do this, and this. And it was great to say, like, no, we're like making our process extremely efficient so we can have the real humans involved, in more things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So where do you see the world kind of going? Like, we've got the Olympics that are coming up. You've got World Cup. You got the World Cup in America, which is big for us, right? So languages, do they continue to add more languages? Are they adding more commentaries? Are you seeing multiple commentaries in the same language? Like, what are you seeing?
So I think that we're really early at the moment. So at the moment, we're kind of wandering down the same path of how things have always been done. But now with this amplification, with this AI stuff, okay, we can do it maybe slightly easier, slightly more effectively, or on more properties. But I think the world that I see is that one of hyper-personalization that comes down to levels of preferences that we can't really comprehend right now. So what are we talking about? How do you target a new fan in a new language? That's different to targeting somebody who's been watching for 30 years in their native language. How do you talk about working with younger demographics, working with different sponsor activations, all sorts of different things, people who are more focused on the technical side or the analytical side. There's lots of really exciting opportunities on how you can reach new fans or engage your fans more deeply. And that just simply hasn't been possible before.
Right. So you have a lot more incoming data to be able to analyze how you broadcast and the things to reach your customer, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's like, if we can, and because of how cost effective it is, you can do it much more cheaply and experiment and go, that's actually not working that well. We're going to swap that one out we're going to swap French for Portuguese, or we're going to go, let's do a SpongeBob version. Oh no, that didn't work today. Let's try something else.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So what is, over the years, like, you guys have nailed a lot of big brands. You guys have done amazing stuff. Like, what's your favorite? Like, what was the one that you were like, man, I really am so happy we get to do this?
It was definitely All Blacks. Like, as a New Zealander, like seeing the All Blacks running live on our platform, and it wasn't AI, it was normal commentary, like human commentary, but it was very, very special moment, that one. How about you?
No, for us, it's the one that I can't say. I can't say. But there's, I've been in sports for a long time now, and the thing that I love is that everybody has their own favorite and their own niche
Yeah.
and their own thing, right? And as I travel a lot, because we're a global company, just like you guys, right? So we're moving around a lot, and like everybody has their little niche stuff. And now you've got all these ascendant sports, like pickleball was a big one, but like
Right.
overtime sports coming out of nowhere and doing basketball, and
Yeah.
and there's like track leagues now that are springing up, and like there's all of these really interesting things that are evolving.
We do a lot of equestrian, and the same is true. Like, I wasn't raised with horses, and I don't mean to offend anybody, but it's definitely not for me.
Right.
But people are mad for it, and there's
Oh, yeah.
so much of it. And I love that about what we get to do, is like that you're creating something that people can get really excited about.